Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. All right, so how are you today? I hope all of you are doing good. So we're going to discuss today about the financial central and regional relations within the government enforcement in Indonesia. Right. So as as we know that um, as Indonesia, the consequences of the unitary state, according to the Article number 1, paragraph 1 of the Constitution year 1945 of Republic Indonesia. So Indonesia divided its territory into regions and also existed in Article 18, paragraph 1 of the Constitution year of Republic of Indonesia. So it has been stated that unitary state of Republic Indonesia divided into professional regions and uh, what I mean is provincial region, provincial region. Okay, so provincial region, and the provincial regions divided into the regencies and the city. So this is where the province, district, and city has a regional government that regulated by the law, right? And because Indonesia has a unitary state enforced regional government system, it based on decentralization and also regional autonomy policy. Okay, so based on the history, in the beginning of the Reformation in 1997 until 1999, the Indonesian state already had the opportunity to apply and change the form of the state and the government system, right? So the why there is a situation to adopt kind of the policy because there are several considerations. The first one is a preparation of Indonesia toward the Indonesia Federation, still not possible. So the choice of the broad autonomy is actually the one of the strategic mission and the strategic preference to take care of the nation state that has been, established and maintained in the very beginning. And the second one is centralization. So centralization is actually have been proof fail to overcome the national crisis that occurred in 1997. So that's why the state and government system have to be changes. And also there is a reinforcement of the politic democracy and also regard with the justice also. So based on that reason, the choice of the centralization and regional autonomy policy in United States is actually the best preference. So the centralization is actually kind of the surrender of authority and power. Why? Because we're going to, jump into the explanation of this. Second one is decentralization is a delegation of power, right? And authority. So in decentralization, there is kind of the bottom up procedure and policy. So there is a delegation of the power and also the authority. The third one, decentralization as a division, dissemination, dispersing and giving power and authority also. And decentralization is also as a means for the efficient and formation of the government region. So what actually the function of the decentralization? Um, as the government systems, been noted division, dissemination, and granting power and authority as what deliver give kind of the administrative decentralization. So this is a step in spreading the authority to carry out the government affairs, where it was centralized or probably previously focused on the central government in the past. So this is kind of several research related to this, and Alderfer believe that the centralization is the establishment of autonomy regions with the certain powers and fields and activity organized based on their initiative and also administrative consideration. So the centralization here is kind of the organizing activity that based on the initiative, right? Initiative and administrative consideration also follow after that. Okay. According to the law number 23, the decentralization is kind of the surrender of the government affairs by central government to autonomous regions. So it based on the principle of autonomy also, and also further explained as a basic principle in implementing regional government based on regional autonomy. So what we can highlight here is the centralization is totally focused about the autonomy principle. All right. Okay. So based on those decentralization description before, it means that there are, variation, and there are a variety of the decentralization definition. Should be there is an harmonization in political, the administrative, right, and also financial decentralization. So if talk about the political decentralization, it means that give the authority, right? So let me just try to break it in a whiteboard. Okay, so if we focus on the, okay, it's in political, right? So political decentralization. Okay, so it means that kind of the authority.
It's
right?
9 hours.
Authority given to for regions, okay, to make decisions and carry out policy. Okay, carry out policy where, okay, the administration whereas the administration decentralization, so it will be guides how to implement the transfer of authority. Function. Okay, and how about the financial decentralization? So there are several centralization here. Musician. So financial decentralization, it would be related to the monetary relationship, right, between the central and regions, okay, and regions that regulate the regional authority, okay, right, the regional authority, okay, to explore sources of income, both farm and regional revenue, and for those that originating come from originating from balancing funds and regional authority and its management. Okay, so that's kind of the financial decentralization. So the financial is actually related to the center and also the regions, that has related to the division of the authority among the central and regional government, right? If it's related to the financial management, then this is kind of the consequences of the decentralization and regional autonomy policy. Okay, right. So And also have been stated on the law that the law number 23, 2014, it's concerning regional government. So the implementation of government affair in a region was carried out based on the principle of decentralization, deconcentration, and also co-administration task. So there are basic foundations of the administration region, all right? So there is a decentralization, deconcentration, and co-administration task, right? So this is a basic that give the pattern between a central and regional financial relation and characterized by relationship of the function that. So if talk about the concentration, so the concentration, it means obligate the central government to calculate its cost for the state budget, right? So this one is obligates the central government, right? So the central government um, to calculate its cost through through the state budget and expenditure. Okay. So the principle of co-administration costs. So it's co-administration costs. So administration cost is kind of the budgeted by those who assign. Right. So it can be both the state budget and then probably regional budget depending on the assignment itself. So whereas which has been submitted and calculated for the regional budget. So there is the assurance that there is no governmental affairs submitted to the region that cannot be carried out, all right, by the reason of charge. And the financial balance among the central and also regional government is kind of the comprehensive system in the framework of funding implementation of decentralization principle, the concentration and also co-administration, right? So the regulation on financial balance doesn't only cover aspect of regional income, but also regulate the management and also responsibility. So talking about the financial balance is not only focused on the money, but also focused on the management aspect and also responsibility. Okay. Right. So when there is situation when there is a state national, state financial resources through the regions in the context of by implementing decentralization is actually focused on account stability, national economic condition, and financial balance between the central and also local government, right? So those kind of closely related. So the issue is the allocation of the regional financial resources is that kind of, you know, needs the assistance from the central, where only a small part of the local revenue. Okay, so is actually the objective is to form the regulation of the financial relation among the central and also the regional government. Okay, right. So let me just back to the slide. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me just. Okay, I need to post. So, yeah, based on the explanation before, the Constitution of Republic of Indonesia, based on the Article number 1, Paragraph 1, is declared that the state of Indonesia is unitary state in the form of republic. So the United States is holder the highest authority, like over all state affairs, which is the central government without any representative or delegation power to the local government. All right. So it means that in the United States, there is a principle claim that all state affairs are not divided between the central and also local government in such a way that the state affairs remain the unanimity and also the highest authority. So This actually regulated in number 23, the year 2014, about the regional government, Article 7, Paragraph 2, where the president hold the hold final responsibility for the administering government affairs carried out by the central and also regional government. Right. So the study of the United States is actually divided into two systems of a government, which the first one is centralization and decentralization government. Right. So and also based on the researcher Rio Cajo. So the system of administering the government in a United States was divided into two forms. The first one is a United States with a centralization system, right? So everything in the country was directly managed by the central government only, right? And United States with the decentralization system, so the region are given the opportunity and power to regulate and manage the household that we call autonomy region, right? So actually, the two forms government system is kind of the different characters, right? So there is a different characters relationship between the central and also regional government, and also related to with the form, the structures, and also the power distribution of the authority. Okay, so let me just kind of back to the whiteboard. Okay, so just let me just clear all drawing first. And yeah, as I taught before, they there is a two form, right? So two. Okay, sorry. I thought I could draw really. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna. Alright, so there is a two form government. Okay, two form of government. Okay, okay. First one is a centralization system, right? I'm trying to be cool, but it's not working. And centralization system. The second one is the centralization. Okay. All right. Okay. And then the two form is kind of different. So different in terms of the form, different in terms of form, and then also structure and power distribution. Okay, power distribution, right? Okay, right. So it's also divided between the regions and also the central government here. Okay. So when there is Reformation era that I've taught before to you that in 1999, so it focused on the regional government, which emphasized there is an undamaged autonomy in the regions in the city, right? So the centralization is actually the administration people of the government, which is opposed to centralization, right? Because the centralization here, it's produced a local government. So it means that there is a superior government, that encompassing a smaller jurisdiction. All right. So yeah, based on the explanation before, it means that the centralization is kind of a transfer of government affair by the central government to the autonomy. And yeah, okay, so now let's go back to the slide. Yeah, all right. So, okay, so wait for a moment. I think I have to go back to the slide. All right, there you go. So to guarantee that the government implementation is So the implementation to guarantee that the government implementation, the region are provided with the funding sources. So both those originating come from a region and also from regional on-source revenue. Jadi kayak mereka punya pendapatan sendiri, and mungkin yang datang juga dari central government. So it well known as a balancing fund. Okay, so the balancing fund consists of general allocation fund, special allocation fund, and revenue sharing fund. It involves part of land, building, tax received, like fee from acquiring land and also building, and also revenue from the natural resources. Okay, so now we jump into the general allocation fund. So its general allocation fund is actually originating fund from the state budget revenue that were allocated to the aim equitable distribution on financial capacity between the region to fund regional needs in the context of implementing the centralization, and also concerning financial balance between central and regional government. So usually it's set, so this general allocation fund set at least 25% of the domestic revenue stipulated to in the state budget. Okay, in the state budget. And it means that the provincial and district, like a city region, is set around 10%, and 90% of the general allocation fund has been determined. And if there is any change between the provincial and district region authority, the strength to each region will be held to adaptability. So if there isn't change, so the adaptability will be also implemented here, right? So the general allocation fund for the certain province is actually determined based on the multiple amounts of the allocation fund for all provincial region that was established in the state budget, with there is a portion of the relevant province, right? So the portion is to relevant province, right? So based on the integrity portion and also total amount of the all provincial region throughout Indonesia. Okay, so yeah, so the general allocation fund for the certain regency or city was determined based on the multiple amounts of the allocation fund of all district and cities. So it represents the integrity of the relevant regency or city in the total weight of the whole district throughout Indonesia. So regional integrity was determined based on the first one is the need for regional autonomy itself. Okay, so I'm just going to try to write in here. So, so the regional integrity was determined based on the needs of for regional autonomy. Okay, the second one is based on the potential regional autonomy. Okay, and then also it's actually allocation of general fund for the region was calculated by, like, there is fiscal gap plus fiscal net, right? So for it has been calculated by the fiscal gap, and also the fiscal gap we got from fiscal net minus fiscal capacity. Okay, so that was kind of the formula for that. Okay, and then the regional fiscal needs are need for regional funding, right? So there is a general basic services and also regional finance fiscal capacity, and also there is a basic allocation or BA. Okay, so this one is plus BA. Okay. Where can we get the basic allocation? It's actually based on the salary of regional civil servant, include all the benefit. Okay, so that was kind of the information got. Okay, so let me just okay. So the needs of regional funding it's to enforce general basic service. It has been measured by based on the total population, land mass, construction price index, gross domestic regional product, and also human development report. Okay, so I think it's enough for the first video. So let me just continue for the second one. So please continue to the next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.